Well, hello again, YouTubers. I hope everybody is having a great day. So, before I get started, I'm asking that you please subscribe, hit the like button, thumbs up or thumbs down, whichever one you want, share, and ring the bell. So, 60 more people shot just over the weekend. Is it starting to dawn on you folks that this is more than gangs yet? Or haven't you figured that out? Well, if you haven't figured it out, let me help you out. You getting 60 people shot. I mean, it went down a little bit last week, but it seems like it's averaging around 40 to 60 people getting shot, especially on the weekend. Okay, and they're mostly black. I mean, there are Hispanics, and a few occasions there's even some white murders and stuff like that. But the majority of the murders are basically black on black crime. Am I right? Or am I wrong? So let's analyze the situation. 40 to 60 people a week getting shot up. We had 12 die this time. You know, so they're getting a good percentage down. That's a good percentage. Keeps on for the next, say, 5 years, 4 years, through the term of this mayor. Let's just say that through the term of this mayor. You're going to be looking at roughly what? I mean, I don't know how much it is now, but I say I'm gonna give a rough estimate of maybe 1,000 people, maybe close to 2,000 people, 1,500 people, and nobody thinks that this is not orchestrated. We all think it's all black on black crime. Well, most of you think it's all black on black crime. I'm gonna tell you what I think. I think somebody is paying these hoodlums, or these people working through another entity, to say it, lack of a better word. They're working through some other entity. When you just have people randomly walking down the street and somebody just come up and shoot you, and you are in 90% of those shootings a black person, it would be easy to say it's gang affiliated, really. So if it's gang affiliated, that means there's a war going on. How come we haven't heard about it? Who are the gangs feuding? Who is it? What do we have here now? You know, what gang do we have here now? And if they was feuding, when you hear it on the street, I mean, my people pretty close to the street. They know what's going on. They ain't heard nothing, you know, other than some beefs here and there. But it make it seem like it's a all out war, gang war. That's the way I would look at it. If this was back in the day, you would know this was a war. Because you'd be like, man, why 60 people get shot? And then those people would be probably shot in a concentrated area. But this, it makes it even stranger. You can be downtown, uptown, suburbs, you can be anywhere. Person ride up on you and shoot you. Just for no reason at all. Still think it's gangs, people? Still think it's just being blacks perpetrating death on blacks? It's more to it, and y'all not seeing it. The news not telling you. I don't think they know, but if you pay attention, and if you understood gang culture, gangs don't do this. Oh yeah, maybe somebody did something they ain't supposed to do, and they call them out and come out there and kill them up. Maybe. But just in the case of this last one, where the two people was in the car and the bullet grazed the baby, they never seen this man before in their life. Did he cut him off in traffic? What happened? But whatever happened, it was enough for them to put, you know, shoot up the man's car with a baby in the car, whether they knew a baby was in there or not. It's not making sense. So we got all these just cold blood killers out on the street, just killing randomly. Okay, didn't say we have that. What is the purpose of doing that? Got any answers? Maybe here's one. Maybe they're trying to take over where you live at. You ever thought about that? Good prime property in some of these spaces where black people live at. Some of them's close to lakes, beaches, but they're 80% black, 90% black people. Wouldn't a good way to destroy a neighborhood and run people out of it is to inject it with a whole bunch of just brutal crimes, brutal assaults on the people that make them think that, hey, I'm just fed up. I'm out of here. They go off to sell a house for half of what it's worth just to get out the neighborhood. Think about it. Then in comes the Mexicans. Fix the houses up, live in them for a short time. All of a sudden they're back on the market. Get an influx of those. Then you start getting an influx of the young white generation. Or basically anybody who can afford to live there because you know the rent's going to go up astronomically. But you're going to get basically an influx of probably upper middle class well-to-do whites. The neighborhood becomes regentified. You pushed off into another slumish area that ain't nobody looking at. All of a sudden, there ain't gonna be no crime, or very little of it. All of a sudden, people gonna feel safe again because they didn't came in there and took your stuff. We always worried about white people thinking that we were coming to get their stuff, but in turn, it's always the other way around. They're coming to take your stuff. It's just a theory. I'm not saying this is going on. But I used to live in me and my wife when we first got married. We used to live in Humble Park, and I lived there previously for some years. Basically grew up with my grandmother. Then I moved. My mother, she lived in Humble Park. So, make a long story short, so I ended up living up in Humble Park about 7, 8 years before I left, got my own place. And back then, it was mostly Puerto Ricans and black people and a few whites. Poor, all was poor. Everybody was on the same level. Everybody was poor. You know, so I left, met my wife. We ended up our very first apartment was actually on the very same street that I grew up on, the very same street. And but we lived on the corner of the block, and I could start seeing the neighborhood change. You start seeing more, the college student whites, artists and musicians and stuff like that. They come in and they buy up some of the old buildings, fix them up, and all of a sudden, you can't make no noise anymore. We used to sit out on our porch with our stereo, but when the whites started moving in, they started calling the police. Couldn't do it anymore. And so they just started systematically buying up the neighborhood. See, first the Mexicans came in and they fixed the neighborhood up. That caused a big problem at one point too. It's a different story. And they come in, they fix up the buildings and the old houses, and they'll have some new ones built. And on a particular street I lived on, there were a couple of mansions. For them days they were considered mansions, and they were quite beautiful houses too. You know, and were well kept up. You know, and so they started moving in. Make a long story short, they started moving in, and everything changed. You know, the owners of the stores no more were not Hispanic. They were more Arab and Middle Eastern, uh, You started seeing little bits and pieces of racism because they wanted you out of the neighborhood. They jacked up the rent so high you couldn't afford to live in the neighborhood. And as it sit now, as I speak now, it's been regentrified. I mean, the Puerto Ricans still live in the Humble Park area, but most of them can't afford to. They're struggling if they do, because uh, they've regentrified basically the whole area. You know, they've pushed them out. A lot of them live on the south side now. They've been pushed so south, you know, out of their neighborhood, and it just makes me think. You got a people that's been in these neighborhoods for generations. I mean, generations. Blacks have been in some of these neighborhoods, you know, but they've founded some of them. You know, from slum to some of them you have put mansions on them. You know, so wouldn't it make some sense that they're trying to force you out through any means necessary, and the police is helping them, or some of the police are helping them? Think about it, folks. 60 people got shot. 40 something last week, another 60 week before that, wasn't it, or something like that? Then, you know, 1 year, and you notice it's even going on in New York. They they had got basically shooting basically down to nothing. All of a sudden, it's spiking. California, it's spiking. It's like it's been uh, the word has been put out. All right, do your dirt, do your killing. We guarantee you immunity. Don't you see it going on? It made me think when that boy that shot those two kids in the alley, the one that the kids asked how tall he was. It made me think then that somebody come around and say, "Man, just kill up anybody. I don't give a shit. Kill up anybody. You know, make them so scared they gonna come running out of here with pulling their hair out their head. You know, but I guess they ain't moving fast enough. So what happens next? They up the killings. Think about it. And I bet you there's black folks involved in it too. It's all just to say all the blue-eyed demon fault, as people want to say. I bet you some black folks behind this too. And if you think hard enough, you might even can guess who it is. And I'm not making any suggestions, but just think about it, people. If there's a group of people that are undesirable, taking up some very, very good real estate space that's close to markets, parks, beaches, expressways, and the neighborhood is going to crap and nobody's trying to help it, killings up, drugs up, everything's up, they'll make you think, hey, I'm tired of looking at this. I'm tired of being here. I don't want to be here no more. They'll make you lose interest in fighting for it. And then they just come on in and bring it all up. You know, didn't they do that in Harlem and in other spaces in this country where black people were predominantly there for generations? Just something to think about. Well, that's going to end my rant for today, folks. So, thank you for listening. Please subscribe, hit the bell, give me a like, share, and until the next video, God bless.